Hello, friends. My name is Heather Gill, and I'm a certified hypnotherapist and a certified life coach and a practical optimist that was certified by Life. So, welcome to today's edition of a talk that I give about finding optimism in little everyday things. And I spoke last week about fears. And today we're going to start at the kind of lesser end of the spectrum, and we'll talk about insecurities. Now, it can be said that insecure thoughts about the future can be also termed anxiety, and insecure thoughts about the past can be expressed as depression. Now that we have that squared away, I would like to talk to you about some common things that people say to themselves when they think about being a little bit unsettled about an experience that they're having. The first one is, will they like me? And I think that we get this from early childhood a lot of times, is that, and I think it starts when we compare ourselves to other people and somehow find ourselves lacking. And the antidote to this is, I can't control what they think about me. I like me, and that's enough. And I think the great writer, Oscar Wilde, once said, it's nobody's business what anybody thinks about you anyways. But still, we beat ourselves up over that. We primp and preen and try and put our best foot forward so that they, whoever they are, will like us. The second one is, am I good enough? Well, friends, let me tell you right here, you are always, always enough. You just need to learn to believe it. The second one is, or the third one, sorry, is, am I ugly? What do they think? You're not ugly, because you're a beautiful soul living in a temporary shell, just trying to make their way, like everyone else, through this great journey we call life. Number 4, am I not smart enough? If you're not, you can get that way. Use that big, beautiful brain that you were born with to learn things and become smarter, so you'll have a little bit more confidence in discussions. 5th, do they think I'm a bitch or a jerk or whatever? This is where knowing yourself is important as well, because it doesn't matter if they think you're a bitch or not, or a jerk or whatever. If you've done a self-check on your behavior and you find that maybe you could use some work in some areas, there's nothing wrong with that. And that doesn't make you something negative. It just means you're a work in progress like the rest of us. The next one comes from, yes, public speaking. Will they like what I say? This can also be applied to parties or any other social situation. If you speak from your heart and what you know to be true, then they'll probably like you and like what you have to say. How about this one? They're mean to me because I suck. Friends, a hard truth here. They're mean to you because you allow it. And I think that I've also heard this other quote that came from, I think it was Dr. Wayne Dwyer, where he says, "What you feed grows." Think about that. What you feed yourself become thoughts and beliefs about yourself. What you tell yourself about others or the world or a situation you're in becomes your reality and your truth, because you'll react to situations based on that belief. And lastly, will they hate me if I win or lose this particular game? Your performance is not a measure of your worth. It's just how you did on that particular day in that particular moment. Next, I'd like to talk about honor. And I'm going to read off 24 things that I think are important to know about honor. And they come from my book called Reflections on Life and Living. And it's actually one of my favorite things to write about. Honor is treating people and yourself with respect. Not just treating people with respect or just treating yourself with respect, but both. Treating yourself and other people with respect. Number 2, having integrity. For example, following through with what you say you will do. And it's also walking the walk and talking the talk and acting on your convictions. This is a hard one. Number 3, not lying about a mistake you made. And later on in other episodes, I'll talk about that. It's a situation where I could have lied about a mistake I made at work, and this was something that could have got me fired. But I told the truth, and the administrator who was asking me about it, her jaw almost literally hit the floor, because almost anyone would lie in that situation, because admitting to this kind of mistake really would get you fired. Number 4 is taking responsibility for your own life and the choices that you've made. Not blaming it on your mom or your crappy childhood or whatever happened at work that day, but just owning it. Just saying, yep, I did that. No excuses, no weaving or dodging or whatever. But just saying, yeah, you did what you did. The good, the bad, and the ugly. 6, truly listening to what someone is saying. Their problems, their thoughts, their way of expressing themselves. Instead of thinking about what you need at the grocery store and making a mental list, or what you're going to do when you get home from work, or gosh, won't this person ever shut up? Just really focusing. We in the therapeutic business call this active listening, which means that all of your focus, all of your intent is on listening to what the other person has to say. 7, and this is another kind of rule of honor, and that means sticking up for people who can't defend themselves, or giving them a voice so that they can be heard and understood. 8, sharing power. That's how a lot of great change has happened here in the United States. By people, for example, with women in the United States. When men began to share their power and treat women as equals, the whole of society changed into being more accepting towards other people and with other genders or skin colors or what have you. 9, striving for balance within yourself. Taking stock of, where do you spend your time? Do you always put yourself last? It's looking for not doing your homework or your work because you want to go take a bubble bath or you want to go jogging or what have you, but to do things in little achievable chunks. And we can talk more about that another day as well. 10, releasing the need to judge others or yourself. Why do you really need to judge other people? So that you can be seen as agreeing with whatever social group is judging them? Or is it so that you can feel better about yourself? And the other part of that is, why do you feel like you need to judge yourself? You can evaluate your performance, which means taking a look at what you did, taking a more objective look at what you might have done right or wrong in a situation, and then simply learning from it and moving on. Number 11, being loyal. It speaks for itself. It means not having your core principles be a part of situational ethics. Being humble. Not always needing to take credit for the good things that you do, or having an ego so big it couldn't fit into this room. 13, allowing other people to learn their own lessons in their own way, instead of always rescuing them so that they don't have to face the consequences of their actions. 14, not saying I told you so, even when somebody else discovers that you were right and they were wrong. You can graciously say, yeah, you're right. 15, this is a really important one. I mean, they're all important, but this is crucial. 15 is exercising your free will to walk your own path. And that goes hand in hand with letting other people, especially your own children, which is a difficult thing to do for us parents, to walk their own path and exercise their own free will, to let them have natural consequences if the consequences aren't fatal, of course. But, I remember once my son was saying, I don't want to wear a coat to school. It's not cold, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to wear a coat. And I didn't make him wear his coat. He went outside to wait for the bus, came running in, grabbed his coat, and left. I didn't say a word, and neither did he. 17, not giving up on yourself, your friends, or your family. Because there are always situations that can be turned into something good or okay or less terrible. And we've talked about that before. 18, striving not to be toxic. I'll let you think on that one. 19, being honest yet tactful. I think that we can be truthful in what we say to people without brutally hurting them, with a razor blade of truth. A lot of times it's all in the delivery. And you can do that while still being honest. 20, trying to be the right amount of selfish. What do you think that means? What I had in mind is that you set up good boundaries. You make time for yourself. You try and make time for your family. And, you have work or school that you also need time for. But you can juggle it. And if you need help, you can always reach out to a life coach or a therapist. And I can be reached at www.heathergilllifecoaching.com, and we can have a talk about it. 21, and this is very, very important. Forgiving yourself. I think it was Don Miguel Ruiz who said that we should only have to pay for our mistakes once. And that includes mistakes you yourself make. Once you say you're sorry or you learn from it, let it go. Otherwise, it'll eat you up inside like poison. 22, forgiving other people. And yes, you can forgive other people without being a doormat. Forgiving an act that someone else did does not necessarily mean that you have to take them back with open arms, or that you can, for example, you hear often about the family of a crime victim saying, I forgive them. And in that case, forgiveness is a way of moving on. You can say, I'm letting this go. I forgive them for this terrible act that they committed. But you can't just say the words. You have to actually feel it deep within your heart and soul. 23, trying to live a balanced life. And 24, following your dreams. There's actually a few more that I'd like to add in because I think that they're pretty important. 25 is when you're asked, and only when you're asked, helping other people to find their dreams, or to support them, or to give them advice. In one of my classes, I learned the worst vice is advice. 26, share who you are and what you have an abundance of. 27, being grateful. 28, being kind. And I think I've shown over and over in some other episodes of The Practical Optimist and in my book, the kindness. I mean, people say I don't have time to be kind. I don't have time to say hello. I don't have time to say thank you. Or I would have let that other car come up ahead of me, cut in, if I had time, but I don't. I was already late for work. That kind of kindness takes almost no time at all. Next time you let somebody merge into your lane in traffic, count how many seconds it takes. You'll be surprised. 29, accepting yourself, being authentic, being you in every situation. I'm not saying come off unfiltered and hurt people and insist that you always can talk over other people kind of thing. I'm not talking about being arrogant. I'm talking about sharing with others your authentic self. And lastly, accepting other people for who they are in this moment. Not trying to change them or, having all kinds of wild expectations for somebody, but accepting them exactly as they are right now and reaching them where they're at. Not where you want them to be, but where they actually are. Okay, folks, I guess that's it for today. Again, I want to let you know that I know it's a plug, that these thoughts, some of them, come from this book, which I wrote, which is called Reflections on Life and Living. Again, my name is Heather Gill, and I can be reached on my website. There's also a business phone number for me that you can use to access or set up an appointment with me. It's at www.heathergilllifecoaching.com. And thanks for listening today, and I hope you have a wonderful week. See you next time.